Welcome back, everybody, to another deep dive. This time, we're going to be taking a look at something that you guys have been requesting quite a bit. You've sent in a ton of really cool research on this, so thanks for that. And it looks like you're really interested in kind of where AI meets up with medical informatics and this whole idea of translational medicine, especially how AI could like fix healthcare's big speed problem, I guess you could say. You know, that thing
Yeah.
where it takes like 17 years for research to actually, make it to patients. So yeah, lots to unpack here.
Yeah, the 17-year average. It's definitely a thing. Actually, even Wikipedia has an entry on what they call translational medicine. And get this, they say it's, quote, the process of turning scientific discoveries arising from laboratory, clinical, or population studies into new clinical tools and applications. Pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
But, like you said, there's a lot involved. You got to do all this testing, run a whole bunch of clinical trials, and then there's that whole peer review thing where other scientists got to check your work. Even after all that, it still takes time for like hospitals and clinics to actually start using the new treatments.
Yeah, I mean, 17 years. That just feels like forever, right?
Yeah.
Especially when you're talking about something that could save someone's life. One of the articles you sent even talked about this Alzheimer's drug, been in development for almost 20 years. It really makes you wonder,
Yeah.
how many people could have been helped if it hadn't taken so long?
Yeah, that's a really good point. And that's actually where this whole AI thing gets super interesting. One of the things the National Institutes of Health is talking about is AI potentially shrinking that timeline way down, like maybe even to 3 to 5 years.
Whoa, hold on. That sounds kind of crazy. Some of the other stuff you sent said that timeline is basically science fiction. So, like, is that even possible?
Well, it's definitely ambitious, but let's break down how AI could actually like change things at each step. So, there's this area of AI called natural language processing. It's all about computers understanding human language. So picture this. We could use it to go through like thousands of research papers. It could pick out the really promising stuff and even find connections that human researchers might miss. And just that could save years of time right at the beginning.
Okay, so it's like AI is this super researcher, just zipping through tons of data and finding the important stuff.
Exactly. And once we found something promising, AI can help us design clinical trials that work way better. Like there's these things called machine learning algorithms.
Yeah.
And basically they let computers learn from data without anyone having to program them specifically. Pretty cool, huh? So we could use them to find the best people for a trial, make the whole trial run smoother, and even figure out how someone might react to a treatment before they even get it. All of that speeds things up like crazy.
Gotcha. So AI isn't just about finding new stuff, it's about making the whole process work better.
Yeah, absolutely. And we can't forget about how AI can look at data in real time. Think about it. What if AI was keeping an eye on a new virus like COVID-19? You could see how it's spreading, spotting the mutations, and even warn us about potential outbreaks. That kind of quick action could be a game changer for dealing with pandemics in the future.
You mentioned COVID-19, and I was just thinking about that. One of the articles you sent said that AI could actually helped us during the pandemic. It was pretty fascinating, but kind of scary too. It said AI could have looked at that early data from Wuhan and like warned us how bad it was going to get.
Oh yeah, that Lancet article, it had some really good points. It was saying AI could have predicted how the virus was going to spread, helped us find effective treatments sooner, and even fought all that misinformation that was going around online. AI is an early warning system. Definitely something to think about.
Yeah, for sure. It makes you wonder what could have been different, right? But let's switch gears for a sec. You mentioned AI making these like living medical guidelines earlier. That really caught my attention because one of the reports from the British Columbia Guidelines and Protocol Advisory Committee talked about how hard it is to keep the regular guidelines up to date.
Oh yeah, that's a huge area where AI can make a difference. Right now, clinical practice guidelines are like these static documents. They're based on the best evidence we had when we wrote them. But there's always new research coming out,
Yeah.
and it can take years for those updates to make it into the guidelines, which means sometimes patients aren't getting the best care possible because the information is outdated.
It's like we're always trying to catch up,
Yeah, exactly.
but it sounds like AI could change that.
Exactly. Imagine AI constantly scanning all the new research, checking out clinical trial data, and even watching how patients are doing in real time. You could use all that to keep the guidelines up to date. So doctors always have the latest recommendations.
So instead of these old, outdated guidelines, we could have these dynamic ones that change with the latest science. That would be huge for both doctors and patients.
It really would. And it could even lead to more personalized medicine, too. One of the things you sent from Nature Medicine talked about how AI can use someone's genes, medical history, lifestyle, and even how they reacted to past treatments to figure out a treatment plan just for them.
That's wild. It's like taking the best parts of medicine, the doctor's expertise, all that scientific research, and then adding this extra layer of AI insight.
Exactly. But it's super important to remember that even with all this cool stuff, AI is just a tool. It's here to help humans, not replace them. The goal is to have doctors and AI work together so doctors can make even better decisions and give their patients the best care possible.
Okay, that makes me feel better. I think a lot of people are worried about robots taking over healthcare. But you're saying it's more about teamwork, AI helping doctors, not pushing them aside.
Exactly. And it's not just about helping doctors, it's about helping patients too. One of the research papers you sent from the Journal of Medical Ethics brought up some interesting stuff about being transparent and educating patients about AI in healthcare.
Yeah, that really stood out to me when I was going through everything. Like, how do you explain these crazy algorithms and all those data-driven recommendations to someone who's not a scientist? How do you build that trust?
That's a really important question.
Well,
And I think it starts with recognizing that patients deserve to know how AI is being used in their care. We need to move away from this black box idea where AI feels like a mystery. We need to be more transparent so patients understand how those recommendations are made and what data is being used.
so it's about showing them what's going on behind the scenes.
Yeah, exactly. And it's about making sure patients feel like they can ask questions, disagree with recommendations if they're not comfortable, and ultimately be a part of their own healthcare decisions.
It's funny. One of the opinion pieces you shared actually said that AI could make the doctor-patient relationship even stronger.
Oh, that's interesting. What did they say?
Well, they said that if AI takes over some of the routine stuff, like analyzing data or making a preliminary diagnosis, then doctors have more time to spend with their patients. They can really listen to their concerns and give them more personalized advice and support.
I like that.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. So instead of replacing doctors, AI could actually help them connect with their patients on a deeper level.
Exactly. And don't forget about how AI can help people get access to healthcare who might not have it right now. Think about those AI-powered telehealth platforms. They can do remote consultations, diagnoses, and even give treatment recommendations to people in areas where there aren't enough doctors or hospitals.
Wow, that's incredible. It's like using technology to make healthcare available to everyone. It's like a whole new way of thinking about healthcare.
It really is a paradigm shift. But like with any big change, there are challenges and ethical things to consider. One of the World Health Organization reports you sent talked about how important it is to make sure AI is used responsibly and fairly. We had to deal with things like bias in algorithms, keeping data private, and making sure it's not misused.
That's a really good point. We can't just get excited about the technology and forget about the potential downsides. We have to be careful about how we develop and use AI in healthcare. It has to benefit everyone, not just a select few.
Absolutely. And this is a conversation that needs to involve everyone. Doctors, patients, researchers, ethicists, policymakers, everyone. The future of AI in healthcare is something we all need to shape together, making sure it's ethical and benefits everyone.
I love that. We're all in this together, right? So it seems like we've just started to explore this really complex and fascinating topic. But as we wrap up this part of our deep dive, I want to make sure we tie it back to what you were originally asking about. You were really curious about how AI could speed up the process of getting medical research into practice, right?
Yes, we started with that 17-year gap.
Yeah.
And we're talking about how AI can make that journey from scientific discovery to actually helping patients a lot faster.
And based on everything we've talked about, it seems like AI could completely change things. We've seen how AI can analyze mountains of data, find promising leads, and make clinical trials more efficient.
Definitely. It can go through all those research papers, spot potential problems with drugs, and even predict how someone might respond to treatment based on their individual situation.
And it's not just about research. We also talked about how AI could make medical guidelines better by making them more dynamic and keeping them updated.
Imagine doctors having access to guidelines that are always current with the latest research. That would be amazing for making sure patients get the best care possible.
It's like giving every doctor in the world access to the combined knowledge of the entire medical community.
Exactly.
And then there's the whole thing about AI personalizing medicine. AI looking at your genes, your medical history, your lifestyle, and figuring out the best treatment just for you.
It's pretty incredible.
It really is. But one of the articles you sent talked about something called algorithmic bias, basically where AI systems could actually make existing inequalities in healthcare even worse if we're not careful.
That's a really important point. We have to make sure these AI systems are designed to be fair and treat everyone equally. no matter their race, gender, income, or anything else.
So it's not enough to just create the technology. We have to make sure it's used ethically.
Absolutely.
And we have to be open with patients about how AI is being used in their care.
Transparency and trust are so important if we want people to feel comfortable with these new technologies.
I totally agree. It's about giving patients the information they need and letting them be a part of the decision-making process.
So, to sum things up, we've seen how AI has the potential to revolutionize healthcare. It can speed up research, personalize treatments, make medical knowledge more accessible, and even improve the doctor-patient relationship.
You've made it really clear that AI isn't a magic solution. There are challenges, ethical questions, and a need for everyone to work together to figure this all out.
Exactly. The future of AI in healthcare is still being written, and we all have a role to play in making sure it's a good one.
That's a great note to end on. As you keep learning about this, I encourage you to stay curious, keep asking questions, and have those important conversations about how AI is going to shape the future of healthcare.
And remember, the future of healthcare is ultimately in our hands. The choices we make today will determine the world we create tomorrow.
Well said. We'll be back soon with more on this incredible topic, so stay tuned.
See you next time.